Hello, student. I, Dr. Shafali Jain, Assistant Professor, Tirthankar Mavi University. Student, in this topic, we discuss about the market equilibrium or balance of between supply and demand. Supply and demand are the two words that economics use most often. Supply and demand are the forces that make market economics work. Modern economics is about supply and demand market equilibrium. It means market supply and demand are equated in a free market through the price mechanism. If buyer wish to purchase more of a good than it's available at the prevailing price, they will tend to bid the price up. If they wish to purchase less than is available at the prevailing price, supplier will bid prices down. The price mechanism thus determines what quantities of goods are to be produced because price is the main factor. Main price is the active factor which also affected the supply and demand both. The price mechanism also determines us which goods are to be produced, how the goods are to be produced, and who will get the goods, how the goods will be distributed. Goods so produced and distributed may be consumers' items, services, labor, or other sellable commodities and all other commodities. In each case, an increase in demand will lead to the price being rises. With will induce producer to supply more. A decrease in demand will lead to the price being bid down, which will induce producer to supply less. The price system thus provides a simple scale by which uh, where the tendency to move towards the equilibrium price is known as the market mechanism and the resulting balance between supply and demand is called a market equilibrium. As the price of a good rises, the quantity offered usually increases, and the willingness of consumers to buy the good normally declines. But those charges are not necessarily proportional. The measure of the responsiveness of supply and demand to changes in pricing called the price elasticity of supply or demand. And we discussed about the price elasticity of supply and demand in the previous video and calculated as a ratio of the percentage change in quantity supplied or demanded to the percentage change in price. Thus, if the price of a commodity decreases by 10%, then the price elasticity of demand for that commodity is said to be 2. Sorry, decreases 10% and sales of the commodity consequently increases by 20%. Suppose consequently the sales of the commodity increases 20%, then the price elasticity of demand for the commodity is set 2. So, uh, supply and demand is the main two factor which affected uh, which determined the price. Market equilibrium is the is that condition where the equilibrium price is that at which demand matches supply. We will also discuss it in the further video and uh, which demand matches supply, producing a market equilibrium that is acceptable to buyers and sellers. Supply and demand in terms of the quantity of goods are balanced at the point where an upward sloping supply curve and downward sloping demand curve intersect, leaving no surplus supply or unmet demand. The level of the market clearing price depends on the shape and position of the respective demand and supply curves. I will study it in the further of the video. Here I also explain in the briefly, which are also influenced numerous factors, and I have also discussed it numerous factors as the price of the commodity, related price of the commodity, income of the consumers, and government policies, etc. I will discuss it further. Now, I think you have to understand what is the market equilibrium. Now we discuss about the demand, which I have also discussed in the previous video, but briefly I discuss here because supply and demands are the two sides. There are two main factors that forces the market equilibrium. Now demand, the amount of a good, service, or resource that people are willing and able to buy during a specified time at a specified price. Quantity demanded is the amount of a good that buyers are willing and able to purchase. The law of demand states that other things equal, the quantity demanded of a good falls when the price of the goods rises. It means लॉ ऑफ डिमांड हमें बताता है कि अगर इफ यदि अदर गुड्स इक्वल रहे, अदर थिंग्स इक्वल रहे, देयर इज नो चेंजेस, अदर थिंग्स मतलब चेंजेस तो quantity demanded of a price and quantity demanded has an inverse relationship. When the price increases, demanded decreases. When the price decreases, price increases. So the law of demand holds that demand for a product changes inversely or to its price when all else is equal. All else equal, other things is equal. The higher the price, the lower the level of demand. The lower the price, the higher level of demand. So demand and price has an inverse relationship, but some expectation also exist as one is given goods. I have also discussed about the given goods, inferior goods. They are typically low priced goods is called inferior goods. They are those see a drop in demand when income rises because consumer trade off for highly quality product, and it's the other fact is mainly substitution effect turns the product into given goods, and the price of an inferior goods rises, the demand goes up because consumer use more of it in place of the costlier alternatives because the consumer wants to high his living standard. So demand is the amount of a product that consumer are willing and able to purchase at any given price. It is assumed that this is effective demand and it is backed up money and an ability to buy. And the law of demand state that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. Naturally, consumer are willing and able to buy less as the price rises. This result is a downward sloping demand curve, and downward sloping demand curve is a here type, and I have studied before downward sloping demand curve, and now we discuss about the supply curve. Supply print. Sorry, first of all, I also discussed demand for the goods. Economics use the term demand to refer the amount of some goods or service consumer are willing and able to purchase at each price. Demand is a fundamentally based on needs and wants. If you have no need or want for something, you won't buy it. While a consumer may be able to differentiate between our need and our want from an economics perspective. They are the same thing. Demand is also based on the ability to pay. If we, if you can't pay for it, you have no effective demand. So here in this schedule, you can see price per gallon. We take the price in per gallon when the price is $1. The quantity demanded millions of gallons 800. When the price become 1.20, the quantity demanded become 700. When the price become $1.40, quantity demanded 600. When the price also become $1.60, the quantity demanded 550. Uh, and when the price become $1.80, the price also become 500, and when the price also increases at it become 2.2 it has become 460, and the price also rises and it become 2.20, and the quantity demanded 420. Here you see when the price are rises, the demand consistently decreases, demand continuously decreases. So it has a inverse relationship. So for the ability, effective demand, willingness, able to purchase the given price and given time is necessary. If when a buyer pays for a unit for a of the specific good or service is called price. The total number of units that consumer would purchase at the price is called the quantity demanded. Uh, a rise in price of a good or service almost always decreases the quantity demanded of that good or service. Fall in price will increase the quantity demanded, as you see in the schedule. When the price rises, the demand is falls. And when the price of a gallon of gasoline increases, for example, people look for ways to reduce their consumption several by combining several events, commuting by carpool or mass transit or taking weekend or vacation trips closer to home. Economics calls that this inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded, the law of demand. The law of demand assumes that all other variables that affect demand, uh, which I have to explain before, we can as we can show in this diagrams in this schedule, the market for the gasoline in the table on it is also showing in the graph, and economics call a table that show the quantity demanded at each prices. A demand schedule, in this case, we measure price in dollar per gallon, or gasoline, we measure the quantity demanded in the millions of gallons over some time period, for example, per day or per year, and over some geographic area like a state of or a country. A demand curve, you see here the demand curve. With here you see. Ah, here you see the demand curve show the relationship. It's show the relationship. Show the relationship between price and quantity demanded on a graph with the quantity with the quantity is here horizontal axis is um, and price per gallon on the vertical x-axis. It is here vertical axis. Uh, so when when show the demand schedule and it is also so the demand schedule and graph show the demand curve. These are two ways to describe the relationship between price and demand. And this figure show the demand schedule show that as price rises here, yeah, prices continue rises हो रहे, quantity demanded decreases, and uh, we graph these point on the line connected them is the demand D. Demand D, it is a demand curve. The downward slope here, the downward slope of the demand curve again show the law of demand, the inverse relationship between prices and quantity demanded. Downward sloping, it is downward sloping. Demand curves will appear somewhat different for each product. They may appear relatively steep or flat, or maybe straight or curved. Nearly all demand curves share the fundamental similarity that they slope down from left to right. Demand curve uh, in the law of demand, as the price increases, the quantity demanded decreases, and conversely, as the price decreases, quantity demanded increases. So, uh, I think you have understood the relationship between demand and supply. Now we discuss about the supply side. The amount of a good, service, or resource that people are willing and able to sell during a specified period at a specified price. The law of supply, other things remaining the same. If the price of a good rises, the quantity supplied of that good increases. If the price of a good falls, the quantity supplied of that goods decreases. So the law of supply relates price changes for a product to the quantity supplied. The law of supply relationship is direct, not inverse. The higher the price, higher the quantity supplied. Lower prices means reduced supply, all as being equal. Higher prices give suppliers an incentive to supply more to the product or commodity, assuming their costs aren't increasing as much. Lower prices result in a lower prices result to decrease the supply, and supply slopes are upwardly supply also decrease at the lower price because the profit of the entrepreneurship is also less. So as with demand and supply, supply and price has a direct relationship and positive relationship. When the price is increasing, supply also increases. Now, supply of goods and services. Here, when economics talk about supply, they mean that amount of some goods or service producer is willing to supply at each price. Price is what the producer receives for selling uh, one unit of a good or service. A rise in price almost always leads to an increase in the quantity supplied of that good or service, while a fall in price will decrease the quantity supplied. Uh, and when the price of gasoline rises, for example, It encourages profit-seeking firms to take several action, expand explorations for oil reserves, drill for more oil, uh, invest in more pipelines and oil tankers to bring the oil to plants for refining into gasoline, and built in new oil lines, purchases additional pipelines and trucks to ship and gasoline to gas stations, and open more gas station to keep exiting gas station open longer hours. Economics call this positive relationship between the price and quantity supply. That a higher price leads to a higher quantity supplied, and a lower price leads to a lower quantity supplied. The law of supply assumes that all other variables that uh, affect supply, and supply is not seen in the as quantity supplied. When economics refers to supply, they mean the relationship between a range of prices and quantities supplied at those prices, a relationship that we can illustrate with the supply curve or supply schedule. Here I am also showing the supply schedule. And when economics refers to quantity supplied, they mean only a certain point on the supply curve or one quantity on the supply schedule. In short, supply refers to the curve and quantity supplied refers to a point on the curve. And here uh, we see the supply curve and supply schedule. And the law of supply again using the market for gasoline. As an example, like demand, we can illustrate supply using a table or graph. A supply schedule is our table. This is a supply schedule table that shows the quantity supplied at a range. Quantity supplied at a range at a different prices. Again, we measure prices in dollar per gallon of gasoline, and we measure quantity supplied in the millions of gallons. Supply curve. Here you see the sorry, the supply curve. A supply curve is a graphic illustration of the relationship between price show on the axis vertical axis here, and quantity shown on the horizontal axis. The supply schedule and the supply curve are just two different ways of showing the same information. Notice that the horizontal and vertical axis on the curve for the supply curve are the same. You see that supply is also increasing, and in the schedule you also see that both are work in the same direction. The supply schedule in the table that show quantity supplied of the gasoline at each price. Just a minute. You yes, Ishida. uh, show that quantity supplied of the gasoline at each price as price rises. You see here, as price rises, quantity supplied also increase, and vice versa. The supply curve is created by graphic the point from the supply schedule and then connected them. The upward sloping you see here, sorry, the upward sloping you see that upward sloping uh, of supply curve illustrate the law of supply. That is, higher price leads to a higher quantity supplied, and vice versa. When the price is $1, the supply quantity the quantity supplied 500. When the price increase and it become $1.20, The quantity supplied also increases 550, and when the price also increase and it become $1.40, this quantity supplied also increase 600, and when the price also increase and it become $1.60, the quantity supplied also increase 640, and when the price also increase and it become $1.80, the quantity supplied also increases 680, and when the price also become $2, the quantity supplied also becomes 700, and when the price also increased $2.20, the quantity supplied 7 point, oh sorry, 720. So you see that there is the shape of supply curve will vary somewhat according to the product, and it I have also discussed uh, about the elasticity of supply, elasticity, and in very some times it can be steeper, flatter, straight line, or curved. Nearly all supply curve however share a basic similarity. They slope up, always up, from left to right, which is seen in here. The long supply as prices rises, see, from $1 per gallon to the 2.20 per gallon. The quantity supplied increases from 500 gallons to 720 gallons. As the price falls, the quantity supplied decrease. Hope you well understood the supply curve and the supply schedule. Now we discuss about the equilibrium. An equilibrium is the condition that exists when quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are equal. Only in equilibrium is quantity supplied equal to quantity demanded. Now, because the price that balanced quantity supplied and quantity demanded, equilibrium price, that price which balanced both. On a graph, it is the price at which the supply and demand curve intersect. We also discussed the graph further at the video. Equilibrium quantity, the quantity supplied and the uh, quantity demanded at the equilibrium price. On the graph, it is the quantity at which the supply and demand curves intersect to each other. I will discuss about here. Here you are seeing a schedule. The market equilibrium is shown where the demand and supply curve both intersect each other. Here you see, yeah, that is the market equilibrium. Market equilibrium. Uh, uh, have Here we have the price on the vertical x-axis and quantity of the horizontal x-axis for a particular good or service can appear on the same graph. Together, demand and supply determine the price and quantity that will be bought and sold in the market. So, the demand curve DD here, DD, and the supply curve SS intersect at the point E with a price of $1.40. Here you see $1.40. In this point, quantity of 600, the equilibrium price, only price where the quantity demanded and quantity is equal to quantity supplied at a price above equilibrium like 1.80. 80, the quantity supplied exceed. Here the quantity supplied exceed, it is 680, and the quantity demanded down, it is only 680 and 500. So there is excess supply at the price below, at a price below equilibrium such as 1.20 $1.20. Quantity demanded exceed. In this point, quantity demanded exceed to quantity supplied. So there is a excess demand. Here you see there is a excess demand. Here you can see that when the price is 1.80 per, here you can see quantity supplied exceed. It is excess supply curve and demand is less, and at the price of $1.20 it is excess demand. Here the demand is more and supply is here. So uh, when two lines on a graph cross, this intersect usually means sometimes the point where the supply curve and the demand curve, where the point supply curve and demand curve intersect each other. Point E is called equilibrium. The equilibrium price is that only price where the plants to consumers and the plants of producer agree. That is where the amount of the product consumer want to buy, quantity demanded, is equal to the amount produced when to sale, quantity supplied. So it is the equilibrium quantity at other, the quantity demanded does not equal to quantity supplied, so the market is not equilibrium. If in this price level the market is not equilibrium and other price level if the market is not equilibrium, so which price is the quantity demanded and quantity supply is equal to each other, it is the market is called equilibrium. The equilibrium price is 1.40 dollar per gallons of gasoline and the equilibrium quantity is 600. Here you see 600 million gallons. If you had only the demand and supply schedule and not the graph, you could find the equilibrium by looking for the price level on the table where the quantity demanded and the quantity supply are equal. It's up there. So the word equilibrium means balance. If a market is at its equilibrium price and quantity, then it has no reason to move away from that point. It is a equilibrium point. If a market is not at equilibrium, then economic pressures arrive at prices to move the market towards the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Imagine, for example, the price of a gallons of gasoline was above the equilibrium price, that is in a state of 1.40 per gallon, the price is become 1.80 per gallon. Uh, the horizontal line at the price of here you see the figure at the higher price the quantity demanded drop, higher price the quantity demanded, it demands, it is a demand schedule drop, it is 600 to 500, and this decline in the quantity reflects how consumer reacted to the higher price by finding ways to use less gasoline. Moreover, at the higher price of 1.80 the quantity of the gasoline supplied rises. Here you see rises from 600 to 680, as the higher price makes it more profitable for gasoline producer to expand their output. Now consider how quantity demanded and quantity supply are related to this above equilibrium price. Quantity demanded has fallen to 500 uh, gallons while the quantity supplied has rise to 680 gallons. 500 and 680 at this price you see here. In fact, and at any above equilibrium price the quantity supplied exceed the quantity demanded, we can say this is an excess supply or a surplus. With a surplus, gasoline accumulates at gas station, in tankers, truck, in pipeline, at oil refineries. Uh, this accumulation puts pressure on gasoline sailors. If a surplus remains unsold, if it is unsold, remains those firms involved in making and selling gasoline are not receiving enough cash to pay their workers and to cover their expenses. In this situation, some producer and seller will want to cut prices because it is better. They want because it is better to sell at a lower prices than not to sell at all. Once some sellers start cutting prices, other will follow to avoid losing sales. These price reduction in terms sorry in this situation because it is better. Sorry, in this situation, some producer and seller will want to cut prices because it is better to sell at a lower prices than and it prices lower prices here lower prices uh, uh, than not to sell at all. Once some sellers start cutting prices, other will follow to avoid losing sales. These price reduction in terms will simultaneously stimulate higher quantity demanded. When the price is down, it's also uh, at a higher quantity demanded. Therefore, if the price is above equilibrium level, incentives built into the structure of demand and supply will create pressure for the price to fall towards the equilibrium, and the price will become here equilibrium. So now suppose that the price is below its equilibrium level. It is here 1.20 per gallons as the dash horizontal line at the price in which is shown as the figure. At this lower price, the quantity demanded increases from 600 to 700. 600 to 700. Here the access demand. And as drivers takes longer trips, spend more minutes warming up the car in the driveway in the winter times, stop sharing rides to work, and while larger cars that get fewer miles to the gallons. So the below equilibrium price reduces gasoline producer incentives to the produce the sale gasoline, and the quantity supplied falls from 600 to quantity supplied falls, and it's here 600 to 550 because their profit is also down. When the price is below equilibrium, there is an excess demand. It is an excess demand and shortage condition. That is the given price, the quantity demanded, which has been stimulates by the lower price now exceed the quantity supplied, which has been depressed by the lower price. In this situation, eager gasoline buyers moved the gas station only to find many stations running short of fuel. Oil companies and gas stations recognize that they have an opportunity to make higher profits by selling what gasoline they have at a higher price. As a result, the price rises towards the equilibrium level. So here you see that how the market get the equilibrium. So in this topic, we have examined the model, the market equilibrium, where we found that supply curve show the quantity demanded at each price, all other things unchanged. The law of demand as law of demand that an increase in price, the quantity demanded and a decrease in price increase the quantity, uh, or all other things unchanged. The supply curve show the quantity of our goods or services that sellers will offer at various prices, all other things unchanged. The equilibrium price occurs where demand and supply curves intersect. At this price, the quantity demanded equal, you see, equal. At this price, the quantity demanded equal the quantity supplied. A price higher than the equilibrium price increases the quantity supplied and reduce the quantity demanded, causing a surplus. Here you see causing a surplus. Here causing a surplus and a price lower than the equilibrium price increase the quantity demanded and reduce the quantity supplied and causing a shortage. You see here, causing a shortage. Usually, market surplus and shortage are short-lived. Changes in demand or supply caused by changes in determinants of the demand and supply, otherwise held constant in the analysis. Change the equilibrium price and output. The circular flow, the circular, it is in this type, the market go, this circular also go on continuously. And the fluctuation of the market also affect the quantity demanded and quantity supply. So where the demand curve and supply curve intersect, it's a intersect, we have a point where the quantity that consumer are willing to purchase matches quantity that suppliers are willing to supply at a given price. In this price, at a given price, this point is known as the market equilibrium. From the market equilibrium, we can derive market price and market quantity. This market equilibrium is not fixed. It is likely change over time due to changes in the patterns of demand and supply. We also discuss it in this video here. Now, excess demand or shortage of supply in the is the condition that exists when the quantity demanded exceed quantity supplied at the current price, and excess supply or shortage of demand is the condition that exists when quantity supplied exceed quantity quantity demanded at the current price. So, student, I hope you well understood what is the supply curve, what is the demand curve, what is the market equilibrium, where the where when the supply quantity supply and quantity demanded intersect to each other, in which point the it is the market equilibrium position. Now, and excess demand is called the shortage of supply, and excess supply is called the surplus. Surplus. Now, student, thank you very much.